Very good morning to all. My name is Ravi Kumar. So I'll be taking this demo session today. So about my introduction, I have 11 years of experience in IT industry. I do consulting, implementing, and administration of Microsoft and VMware product. In cloud services, I take care of Azure Active Directory administration, Azure administration and migration to Azure, Office 365 implementation, and migrating to Office 365 services. In on-prem virtualization, I take care of VMware and Microsoft Hyper-V. And also I take care of Windows Server administration and any roles and services running on top of it I take care. And also in messaging, I take care of Exchange services. So about this training, wherein we'll be covering AZ-104, which is Azure Administration. So where we'll be covering 15 modules. Okay. So let's see what all the topics we'll be covering in this training. So first thing, we'll try to understand what is cloud computing, what are the benefits of cloud computing, what are the types of cloud computing and types of cloud services, and what is Microsoft Azure, and what are the ways we manage the Microsoft Azure. And in second module, we'll try to understand what are the types of subscription in Azure, how to create the Azure subscription, how do you control the Azure subscription, and how do you work with the resources and resource manager. We'll be covering in module 2. In module 3, we'll be covering on compute workload. How do you create a virtual machine in Azure, and what are the ways we deploy? And as a part of automation, we'll be learning ARM template overview. And in module 4, we'll be covering on Azure calculator. So whenever you get any requirement, so how do you deal with the this one, what do you say, estimation using the Azure calculator? We'll try to understand that. And also we'll be trying to understand how do you keep your data in Azure, and how do you consume Azure as your storage solution. So what are the ways you keep the data, how do you manage, will be understanding on the module 5. And in module 6, we'll be understanding what is networking in Azure, how do you deploy the virtual network in Azure. So when you have more than one virtual network, how do you connect each other, how do you allow the traffic flow, and how do you extend your on-prem infrastructure to Azure, and how do you connect your Azure infrastructure from an individual computer. And also we'll be looking like how do you use Azure load balancing solution for your application. And in module 7, we'll be trying to understand how do you control the traffic flow within your Azure network using the network security group. So with this, we'll be covering the core components like compute, storage, and network. And we'll try to understand what all the day-to-day activity as a part of Azure admin you'll be taking care, right? So with respect to the virtual machine properties, what you work, like managing the disk, managing the network, managing the snapshot, right? So managing the images part. And also as a part of high availability, how do you place your virtual machine, and what are the high availability options available in Azure? So we'll be trying to understand what is availability set, availability zone. And if you want to automate the horizontal scaling of your virtual machine instance, we'll try to understand about the Azure scale set. And we'll be understanding two PaaS service. One is app service, which was earlier called as a web app. And also we'll be seeing about the SQL database. How do you create as a PaaS, and how do you connect the SQL database? And also we'll be covering on Azure Active Directory. So as a part of identity and access management. So how or what is Azure AD? What is Azure AD premium features? And how do you add your custom domain? And how do you configure and enable MFA? And how do you integrate your on-prem Active Directory with Azure AD, right? So we'll be understanding on that. And also we'll try to understand, like if you have a data in on-prem, how do you take a backup using the Azure recovery service, so on-premises workload as well as Azure workload. And also we'll be covering how do you monitor your workload running in Azure, and how do you troubleshoot the VM reachability or accessibility in Azure. And also we'll be covering introduction to containers in Azure, right? So these are the topics what we'll be covering in this entire training. So this training is about 30 or 30 plus hours, And I can say this will be 90% practical oriented. So we discuss the theory part, we try to understand the service, we'll see how to deploy the service, even you can do on your lab, and also we'll be working on a task and also the scenario based. So whatever you do in a real time, so it will be the same, like you'll be getting your Azure portal and you'll be working on it. Okay, so far, any doubt, any questions about the topic, let me know. Okay, if you have any doubt, any questions, please unmute and you can ask the question. And if I'm going fast, or if you need any examples anytime, you can stop and you can ask me. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Ravi, I just have one question. In the end, if you can just differentiate about because as we are new for the Azure admin, so what's the difference between an Azure admin or the DevOps, or what are the advantages of that? It will be also great help as well. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So my next slide, which talks about the learning path in Microsoft Cloud Services. So there I'll give you more details on it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's move on. So now, what is the learning path in Microsoft Azure or Microsoft Cloud Services? We'll try to understand that. So AZ900 is the Azure Fundamentals, right? So this is a learning path and also this is a certification paper, AZ900, which talks about the Azure Fundamentals. So this is completely a kind of theoretical. So where you'll be understanding the cloud services, what is Azure, what are the types of cloud services. So moreover, it's a theory one. And it's an optional certification, like means it's not a mandatory to write the certification, it's an optional one. Okay, so there are two main tracks in Azure. Even in on-prem also we can see one is infrastructure management and other one is the infrastructure development. So earlier administration, the Azure admin was called as AZ103, right? So since last year it's AZ104. Okay, this is a certification number, so which we are learning, so which talks completely about the administration of your infrastructure in Azure, right? So AZ104, here we are not developing anything, so we will be supporting to host the infrastructure in the Microsoft Azure cloud, right? So which talks completely about the infrastructure part. And if at all, if you're looking on development part, right? So let's take example, I'm from a development background, I'm looking for a development in Azure, or if you are like if you're interested in development, so AZ204 is the right learning track for developing solution in Microsoft Azure, right? So these two are the main tracks, what we can say. One is infrastructure management, which is 104, and developing solution is 204. Okay, so now let's take example, you are interested in Azure DevOps. Okay, so if you are interested in learning Azure DevOps or start your career as Azure DevOps, so for that you should be knowing the knowledge of AZ104. So what are the topics we covered so far, plus AZ400. So there is additional contents where you need to learn, like CI/CD pipeline, your containerization, and there are many other services wherein you'll be learning, which is the content of DevOps. So basically, the DevOps is a person who will be supporting or helping the developer to host the applications developed by a developer on the Azure infrastructure part. So that is what the Azure DevOps engineers. So in order to learn that, so first thing you should know AZ104 plus AZ400 content, and also if you are certified with 104 and 400, then you'll be certified as a Azure DevOps engineer expert. So this is one learning path. Or you can learn AZ204 plus AZ400, so you can achieve Azure DevOps in the other way as well. Okay, so here what is happening, so there are a lot of content in the cloud, so it has been divided the contents according to the scope of work. So the Azure Administrator, wherein he manages purely on the infrastructure part, and Azure developer who will be developing the solution. So basically a developer, what we can say. So for them, 204 is the course content to learn. And for Azure DevOps, so either you can learn 104 plus AZ 400 or AZ 204 plus AZ 400. Okay, any questions on this DevOps part now? So shall we move?
Yeah, I have one question. Penchala here. Hello.
Yeah.
So are you going to teach this one as AG 400 also? That means like Azure DevOps?
Yeah, so after learning 104, then you can plan for Azure DevOps if you're interested in the DevOps platform in Azure DevOps. That's right.
Okay, that also you are going to cover, right? You mean to say that is separate to like a class, right? You mean?
Yes, that's right. So we will be covering, once in this training, we'll be covering AZ 104.
Okay, fine. Yeah, okay, fine, got it.
AZ 400, it's also almost like a 30 hours content. So there are many other modules where you have to learn.
Okay. Yeah, parallel you are going to cover that class also.
No, so that is a different training content. So yes, even in our training institute, Visualpath, we provide that. So that is a different content, or we can say that is a different training. So you can opt for that as well.
Yeah, okay, fine, no problem. Okay.
Okay. So this is about. Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, you are telling about AG 104 and 204. What is the difference actually?
See, 104, where you'll be managing the infrastructure, like hosting the compute, hosting the storage, hosting the network, and managing your complete infrastructure, where here we are not developing anything. Means you'll not be developing any solution here.
Sir, can you explain hello?
Yeah, please go on.
Sir, can you explain AZ 900 and
Sorry, AZ 900 and?
yes.
See, AZ 900, which talks about the fundamentals. Let's take example.
Okay.
Okay, I'm very new to the market. So if I want to know about the Azure part, so in that case, the fundamentals will help you to understand what is a cloud and what is Azure and what are the services in Azure. So that is what AZ 900 will be covering. So anyways, with 104, we'll be learning those, plus we'll be learning with the services part.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah. So AZ 104, it's moreover like if you're accessing an application, like you take YouTube as an application, right? So it's an video portal where we stream the videos, right? So on a back end, we require a servers like a compute, network, storage, and you'll be hosting. But the website designing and all, it's a development part. And whatever the application has been developed, that requires a platform to host, like compute, network, storage, and other configuration, right? So the developer is the one who will be developing the solution. So that covers under the 204. How do you develop it in Azure? And 104, which talks about the managing the infrastructure part. 1 minute, hold on. Yeah, sorry. So did I answer the question, the difference between 104 and 204?
Yeah, you almost answered everything, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, and also whatever the content I showed, it's purely on infrastructure management part. Okay, so that is one thing. And now if you have learned 104 and or if you know something about the Azure, and if you're looking at the next level as an architect level, So you can go with AZ300. So earlier it was 300, now it is 303, and this content is going to retire by this March 2022. 303 plus 304. If you learn and if you get certified with this, so then you will be learning the content of Azure Architect, and once you certify, you'll be certified as a Azure Solution Architect Expert. So for this, there is no prerequisite. Even now, you can directly take the certification, but you should know the required skill about the Azure platform. Only then you can understand the 303 and 305, because in Architect, wherein you'll not be will not be discussing about the baselines, right? So that is one thing. So these are the learning path in Microsoft Azure Cloud. Yeah. Any doubt? Any questions on this?
Yeah, Ravi, good morning. This is Shweta.
Yeah,
So
hi, good
as you
morning.
said that, as you said that Azure technologies like AZ303 and 304 prerequisite is AZ104. So for AZ104 also prerequisite is Azure Fundamentals, right? That will be covered in this portion, right?
Exactly. So in the first module itself, we'll try to understand what is cloud computing, benefits, what are the types of cloud services, what is Azure, what are the ways we manage Azure, and the services wherein we'll be covering in depth. So 900 is covered with 104. That's right.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, but whenever you're opting for a certification, no? So 900 is not a prerequisite. So it's an optional certification. So either you can take or you can leave it. Okay. So you can directly take 104 certification.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Any other doubt, any other questions on the learning path, let me know. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next.
Ravi, I have a question.
Yeah, the rest.
Actually, if the person want to go for Azure DevOps, what kind of certification he has to do?
Yeah, 104 plus AZ400, or yeah, 204 plus AZ400. So Azure DevOps
So,
certification 400. This is a paper code. Okay.
okay,
The prerequisite is 104 or 204. Any one.
okay, he has to do 2 certifications then, right?
Yeah, 104 plus 400, or 204 plus 400.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so shall we move on to the next slide? If you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so now so far we have discussed like what are the contents we are going to cover and what is the certification track, right? So now who can appear for this Azure Admin Learning? Okay, so who can learn Azure Admin? So let's take example. If I'm from I just completed my graduation, right? So is it the right content to start my career as a Azure admin? Yes, it's a right. So if you're a fresher, yes, even you can start your career. Or if you have experience in technical, and if you are from any domain like Windows admin, Linux admin, storage admin, network admin, security admin, right? So any technical infrastructure support background, and if you want to start your career as a cloud admin or Azure admin, yes, even it's a right track to learn Azure administration. Or if you are from technical, means a different technical domain, right? So and if you want to switch to cloud administration, yes, you can go through AZ104. Or you are from a non-technical background, right? So and if you want to switch your career as a cloud admin, yes, this content is the right track where you can start learning about the Azure administration. Okay, so but still there is some prerequisite where uh, you want to learn and you want to know, then you can proceed further. Okay, so yeah, before we start, so please share your contact number and the email ID. In the chat box, you can chat privately with the Visualpath admin, so that the materials and the recordings and other details will be shared to your phone number as well as email ID. Okay. All right. So now As I told you, right? So if you are a fresher or if you have experience, right? So there are some prerequisite what you need to know. Like you should be knowing the basic Windows Server administration and Linux Server administration, where you'll be deploying the workload like compute, like Windows or Linux. So you should be knowing at least basic to get connected to the system or troubleshoot the connectivity issues, so on. Okay, not on the expertise level, right? So if you know, it's well and good, or if you're eager to learn, that's also fine, but you should be knowing some basic administration of Windows and Linux operating system. And also you should be knowing about the virtualization. So what is virtualization, and how it runs on a backend, like what is a virtual machine, virtual network, virtual NIC, or a virtual SAN, or some base concept about the virtualization, because whatever we run on the cloud will be virtualized. So you should have some idea on that. And also you should be knowing about the storage concept, like what is SAN, NAS, DAS, what are the RAID, right? So some basics about the storage part, and also some basics about the networking, right? So what is IP address, types of IP address, classes of IP address, network devices, what are the functionality of that, right? So here in the cloud, we will not be managing the data center or the physical hardware, or not even the hypervisor, not even the storage hardware, not the switches or router. So everything we deploy and manage, we call it as a software defined data center. Okay. So everything you will be managing virtually, and also whatever runs over there is a virtualized platform. But you should know the concept, because you'll not be working only in the cloud. So you'll be interacting with the on-prem as well, right? So you should be knowing this concept. Apart from that, you should also know about some protocols like TCP/IP, what is DNS, what is VPN, what is firewall, what is encryption, and what is backup, what is disaster recovery, right? So the base overview, what exactly is that particular one, how we will be using in real time, or what are the benefits of it, and how that will help in our infrastructure, right? So these are the base understanding you should be knowing. If at all, if you don't know this, along with the course, you can spend additional 1 hour and you can start learning one by one, right? So in IT, we cannot just say that I don't know. So we should keep updating ourselves. Okay, so this is about the prerequisites part. So if anyone has any doubt, any questions on this, let me know.
So as you said, this is the prerequisite part. Like I'm from non-technical background, I required all these things. Then how you said like we should spend 1 more hour for this. So this is for other module, like other course kind of thing we have to start, or you'll be covered in this only.
See, some basics will be covered, but basics in the sense on the cloud part will be covered. Like when I say what is virtual machine, how to create, that will be covered in the cloud. So when you want to learn about the virtualization part, so that you have to spend your time and you should learn. Like you can do your self-learning. So I have some links which I'll be sharing with you, so you can go through it. And if at all, if you have any doubt, any questions, you can reach me back.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Because there is a lot of content wherein will be covered in cloud, right? So if anyone from non-technical or very fresher, no, so they'll be hearing the new fancy words. So it takes some time to digest, okay? But still, you can parallelly work on it. And if you need any assistance, we can help you out on it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so this is about the prerequisites. So what will be the cloud admin day-to-day activity, right? A cloud administrator manages the cloud services, right? So any services hosted in the cloud, you'll be managing it, like the storage part, the network part, the compute part, and also we'll be managing the entire IT lifecycle model here, like developing the solution. So the developer will be doing, and hosting the developed solution and testing it, and afterwards like updating or upgrading it. And whenever there is no more needed of that service, like decommissioning the services, right? So entire IT lifecycle model will be managing the cloud, where the cloud administrator will take the end user request. So whenever a new application has to be hosted, for that, whatever the infrastructure has to be created, like compute, network, storage, and other services, when the cloud administrator will be provisioning. And also the cloud admin will be monitoring the services. So if any services is under provisioned or overutilized, So accordingly, he will be fine tuning the services. And also sometime wherein the cloud admin will be interacting with the third party vendors, like the third party services are hosted. It can be with your ISB or any other application, right? So wherein the cloud admin will be interacting with them to make the services up and running. Okay, so what are the ways you manage the Azure? So Azure will be managed in two ways. One is through the graphical user interface through the Azure portal, and other way is through the command line utility. So you can manage with both sides. Okay, yeah. So successful cloud administrator will be managing the servers like Windows or Linux and the virtualization. So here virtualization not on the hypervisor level. So everything is a virtual environment here. And also the storage and networking and other types of services wherein the cloud administrator will be managing, or it will be your day-to-day job activities. Yeah, any doubt, any questions on this?
Okay, one minute. Okay, these are all things we are going to do like a daily activities, right? In the as Azure admin.
That's true.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so any doubt, any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll go to the next slide. And also, if you have not shared your contact details, please share it so that the materials and the recordings will be shared to your phone number and the email ID. So you can provide your contact details in the chat box, so you can chat privately with the Visualpath admin.
So one more thing, like after completion of this course, are you going to give any class notes, something like that?
Class in the sense I didn't get you. Means apart
No,
from
notes. Like you are going to give any.
See, whatever the slides I share here now, so I'll be sharing everything. So basically, this entire content I'll be sharing with you guys. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah.
The only thing, like what are the key points you want, you can note it down. So whatever the slides I run, so I'll be sharing that. So if you need beyond that, you can ask me, so I can check and provide the same.
Okay. Fine. Yeah.
Okay, so this we have already learned, like what all the services will be covering. Okay, all right, so let's start with the first slide. So overview of cloud computing. So we'll start from here. So first thing, we'll try to understand what is cloud computing here, right? So whenever we refer the keyword cloud computing, we refer to the public cloud like Azure, AWS, Google, or so on. Okay, so first thing, we'll try to understand the computing. So let's take example, if you want to host any services, you require the resource, right? So you require the CPU, you require the memory, you require the hard disk, you require the OS, you require the networking. With the help of all this compute resource, you can host your services. So when we say this cloud computing, so we require the same resources in order to host your service. And these resources will not be in your premises, wherein this will be on the vendor premises. In the sense, if you take example of your Google Mail, right? So if you want to use the mail services, so your mailbox is physically hosted on the Google data center, right? So you're not keeping any the physical compute resource in your environment to manage your mails, means manage your mail services, right? We just use a end device like mobile or a computer to access your email and manage your emails, right? So same thing, you can take example here. So cloud computing can be defined as delivering the computing power like CPU, RAM, network, storage, and operating system, a service over a network, right? So this particular resources will be consuming over the network in the internet, we can say. So rather than physically having the compute resource at the customer location, means if I want to host an application, right? So in the cloud, so here we are not going to keep anything in our premises. So this will be on the cloud. Okay. So this in simple way defines as a cloud computing. So now what are the benefits of cloud? Why people are consuming the cloud services and why people are moving the cloud services and why we are learning due to the job opportunities, right? So why? Because people are consuming the cloud service, right? So what is the benefit for an organization? So here we'll take example like how we use this Amazon or a Flipkart e-commerce website, right? So same way, if you want to create a e-commerce website for your product, right? So what you require? You require a physical location where you can host your compute resources, right? And you need to procure the server hardware, network hardware, storage hardware, and other IT components where you have to invest a lot of money. And also, once you place the order, you need some time to get this devices on your place, and you require a person to configure all this physical component, and then you can host your service. And in order to host this, you require the power supply. To have a redundancy, you should have a backup to your power supply. You should have a cooling system, right? So wherein you are investing a lot of money and you're hosting the services. So after some days, for some reason, if you want to shut down, so whatever you invested is a loss, right? So now, if you want to do the same thing in the cloud, on a day one, you can create your account by using your credit card or your debit card. So with your credit card, we can say. So once you create your account, on a day one, you can create whatever the service you want. So you want to compute, you want a network, you want a storage. Yes, you can create on a day one. And you can host your application from a day one if you have your application code ready. Okay. So as and when you need, you can upgrade or downgrade, or if you don't require, you can decommission. So you'll be paying only for what you've been used. So in a cloud, it's a pure pay as you go model. Okay. So this is wherein the cloud works cheaper for you. But still, cloud is not cheaper. So whatever the physical resource you require the same thing in the cloud. But when you see the other perspective, wherein the IT hardware refresh once in 3 years, you may be refreshing your hardware, your warranty, and in order to manage your infrastructure, you require a lot of IT persons and their infrastructure, right? So there are other things are involved around it. So when it comes to the cloud, it's a pretty straightforward. So if I want to run a IT infrastructure with this configuration for this many hours, so this is the cost. So you'll be knowing what is your charges or what will be your expenses to host the service, right? Yeah. So the potential of cost saving is the major reason of cloud services adoption by many company. So cloud computing gives the freedom to use the service as per the requirement and pay only for what you use, right? Due to this, the cloud computing has become possible to run IT operations as an outsourced unit without much in-house resource, right? So lowering the IT cost and performance. So whatever the configuration you want in the cloud, yes, you get it. You get a very good performance one. Maintenance. So you will come across unplanned and planned outages, which can impact your business losses, right? So that can be taken care of, where the cloud or the Microsoft Azure provide you 99.95% of uptime service SLA. And also, if you want to achieve 99.99% of uptime SLA, then you can design your application in a way. And about the software updates, so here you go with IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS. So the software updates are taken care, like and also whatever the OS version you want, you can host it in cloud like Windows, Linux, whichever flavor. Yes. Backup and recovery. So you can run your services in on-prem. And if you want to keep your critical data backup, so if you use a traditional way like backing up to the hard disk and afterwards moving to the tape, shipping the tape to a different location, right? So instead of that, you can directly back up your on-prem data and you can store it in cloud. Means you can use cloud as your backup solution as well. And also disaster recovery. So let's take example, you're running your business critical application in on-prem, like your Amazon. If you take kind of that, so if the on-prem is down, your website will be down, right? So to overcome all this, what we will do, we will have a similar replicated environment in a physical region, in a different physical region. So instead of again getting up your infrastructure in a different region, so you can replicate your workload to cloud. Means you can use cloud as your disaster recovery solution as well. And also performance and scalable. So cloud is always scalable model. So today you run one resource, you can keep on add as and when you require. Storage capacity, yes. So today I keep 1 GB, tomorrow I can go up to 1 terabytes or petabytes. Yes, you can go on. Data safety, any data which is in data on transit, right? So which is moving from your premises to cloud, and data residing on their environment, on the physical hardware, data on rest, right? So will be encrypted. So these are the key benefits what we can see where people are moving and adopting the cloud services. Okay, yeah. Any questions on this? Okay, Dheeraj and Sri, we don't have your contact details, so we would request you to provide your email ID and the phone number so that we will be in touch with you with the same. Okay, you can chat privately with the Visualpath admin, so you can check the chat box and you can respond to that. Okay. Yeah. Any questions, guys?
Hello, yeah, Ravi.
Yes, Chana, go on.
Yeah. So in the virtual environment, the data center will be located in different location, and we'll try to we'll try to create the virtual machines on the ESX host from the different location, and we'll deploying the servers, right?
Right. So now let's take example your
Yeah.
organization across the globe.
So in the virtual environment as well, we have the same backup and recovery and storage increase as well. So like I want to ask you that, so what would be the major difference between this virtualization and this cloud part? So what will be the additional things will be added in the cloud when we
See,
compare with virtualization? Yeah.
okay, so here the cloud terminology we use, wherein we are not able to see the infrastructure physically. That's it, nothing else. So now, if you want to host an application in your environment, in your on-prem, whatever the architecture you use, right? So the similar architecture will be there in the cloud as well, no difference. Only thing, so what is the scope of management of the customer and what is the scope of management for the vendor, which differs. So in the next slide, in the next class, we'll be covering that. So when we go to the types of cloud service, here you will try to understand. So here I'll be giving more details. So basically, whatever you run in on-prem, the similar architecture will be in the cloud also, no difference. So in on-prem, we run the virtualization. In the cloud also, we'll run the virtualization. But the thing, what you are going to manage and what I'm going to manage is the matter. So I'll show you one example for that. So let's take example. I have a requirement to host an application in the east part of US. So I require a Windows Server 2012 R2 with 8 GB RAM with 2 CPU. Okay. So let's see how we can create the service in cloud. Okay. So now I'm talking to my Azure portal. So this is how wherein our lab will also run. So we'll try to understand the theory concept, and then we will be seeing the each and every option of the services. So I'll be hosting, and even you can do your practice. So the same portal you'll be using in your real time as well. No difference. Okay. Yeah. So let me log into my Azure portal. Let me see if it's not deactivated. Let's see that. Okay, so now here I was telling when you say virtualization and the cloud, right? So the cloud is a terminology what we use when you're hosting the services in the vendor environment, but still on a backend they'll be using they are using the virtualization platform itself. Okay, so here I can put across my requirement. So I require to deploy a virtual machine. So I go to the virtual machine console. I'm going to create a virtual machine here. Okay, good, it's working. So now I'll put across here. So I'll say VM lab. So let's take example. I want to deploy one application server. I'll say this is my app server. So I want this to be physically created in the east part of US. So this will be created in the east part of US in Microsoft data center. So here you can select what is the version of OS you want and what is the hardware specification you want, and other properties you'll be selecting. So this we will discuss in depth when we go to the VM topic. So here you can see I'm going to create one service through the graphical user interface using the Azure portal. Okay, here I'm not touching their physical hardware, their data center. I'm not touching their hypervisor or anything. So I just put my requirement and it will be created on a backend. Okay. So one part, the cloud, we can say it's a vendor environment. That is the terminology what we use. Obviously, they'll be using a virtualization on a back. Okay, so this is how wherein you'll be deploying the service. So there are different types of cloud services, right? So the way we or whatever we take care, whatever the vendor take care, there is a difference. So that will be understanding. But still, you can manage your services in this way and you can deploy. And also our labs will run like this. And also whatever the scenarios we'll be discussing now, like most of the things we'll be discussing a real-time scenario and use cases, we'll be working on it. So it will take 1 or 2 minutes to create. So once it is deployed, like how do you connect in your on-prem? Like if you hosted a server in your on-premises, if it's a Windows, you try to take remote desktop. If it's a Linux machine, you will try to take SSH. So same way you can do it here as well. No difference when you run on an IaaS platform. Okay, if anyone shared your contact details, okay.
Yeah, what is the duration of this course?
Yeah, so this course is about 30 hours, so even it can go beyond that. So based on the labs and other things, so minimum 30 hours will be there. So Monday to Friday, so daily 1 hour. So 6 weeks we can take it up.
Okay, in the same time only, like, is there any like a changes in the timing?
We can discuss. We can coordinate with the. We can discuss with the coordinator. She can help you out with the timings part.
Okay.
All right. So any other doubt, any other questions, let me know.
Ravi, we can also create multiple virtual machines at the same time, right? Instead of creating virtual machines one by one in the cloud environment.
You can do it. So there are some automation. We discuss about the ARM template. So where you can write your template, where you can say you can ask for a number of machines count. You can put the count there, and it will be deployed. You can do it. So that comes as a level where you can start learning about the cloud automation. So ARM template or Terraform, anything you can start learning the next step.
Okay.
So in AZ104, you'll be understanding the complete baseline about the cloud. And if you want to create any services, so what are the ways we can deploy the service like IaaS or PaaS? We'll be learning on that. Any doubt, any questions, let me know. It's taking some time.
So one more thing, like I would like to know something about like a day-to-day activity necessary, like what kind of like activities you are going to do in the Azure as a Azure admin.
Yeah. So now whatever you manage in your on-premises, now like you'll be getting a request to create some workload like compute, storage, network, and to monitor your existing workload, right? And also troubleshooting if any issues with respect to the service which are hosted in the Azure. So as a part of infrastructure, where you will be taking care of everything here.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Sir, what are the difference between VMware and VMware, sir?
Sorry,
Hello?
what are the different VM?
Difference between VMware and VMware, sir.
VMware
VMware and VMware. Is it cloud, sir?
VM11. What exactly is that VM11?
VMware. What is difference between VMware and VMware, sir?
Okay. See, VMware is a company. Okay. So they have a product called virtualization. In that, they have a product called vSphere ESXi. So that is used for a virtual machines to run. So here, what VM Lab, I'm not sure, but VMware is a company. Okay. And they have a software which we call it as a hypervisor, what we most commonly use, which is a vSphere ESXi, where you can run your virtual machines on top of it.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, I have one more query. Like here you are going to cover like ARM template and then Terraform templates also. Right? You mean to say for creating the resources?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Hello.
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, here you are going to cover like ARM template and a Terraform template for creating the resource.
Terraform will not be covered. ARM template will cover. Overview of ARM will be covering that.
Okay, Linux also you are going to cover, right? Linux.
No, Windows administration we are not covering. No, so here Windows or Linux administration we are not covering. I'll share you some materials you can go through it. Okay, and here we'll be seeing how to deploy the virtual machine, either Windows or Linux. We'll be seeing that.
Okay, like a fundamentals you are going to cover, right? You mean to say?
No fundamentals, buddy. See here, Linux administration is completely a different track, right?
Okay.
Learning on the environment. There are a lot of things to discuss in the Azure itself. But as a part of like some administration wherein we'll be seeing the Windows, like what all things we'll be doing it with respect to the Azure administration only.
Okay.
So you can see this is deployed. Yeah, please go on.
Ravi, hope we can get the training on Azure CLI as well, right? Along with graphical.
PowerShell we can do.
Okay.
See, Azure CLI means, there are two programming languages what you use. One is PowerShell and other one is the shell command. So if you know PowerShell, you'll be managing with PowerShell. Or if you don't know PowerShell, so if you are from a Linux background, so you'll be knowing the shell command, you'll be managing that. So only the commandlets will vary, but the way of management will be the same, and the objective will be the same.
Exactly. The way of VM creation, everything we can do it via command line as well, along with so we can do it either graphical and command line both. So command line CLI knowledge is better. So that is the reason I'm asking. So like, yeah.
Okay, we'll try that. Basically, I'm not from Linux background, so I'm from Windows background. So I'm good in Power, not on the shell, but still, we'll cover the basics of it. Just ask me well. Okay, we'll cover it up. Yeah. Any other doubt? Any other questions? So now you can see I'm taking this Windows machine to the remote desktop application. The same way, how do you connect from your on-prem? Here also you're doing the same. But here I have not touched their physical hardware, physical data center, not even in the hypervisor here, right? So we just put our requirement, the services are deployed, we are connecting it and we are working on it. Yeah.
Is the same VM you created right now? Is the same VM you took the RDP session? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So this is running in Microsoft Azure data center in east part of US. Yeah. Any doubt? Any questions? Let me know.
Yeah.
All right. So if anyone has not shared your details, please share your contact details so that we'll be in touch with that. Okay. Okay. All right then. So if you don't have any questions, we'll hold on here. So we'll connect in the upcoming class. So we'll discuss further on that. Okay. All right then. So if anyone not shared that, if you have any doubt, any questions, anytime, you can reach us so we can respond to them. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's your mobile number? Thank you so much.
Like you can leave your number, so we'll get in touch with you. Anyways, Mahesh, you have shared your details, so we'll be in touch with you. All right. So if there is no questions, we'll wind up now. So thank you guys. Thanks for your time and appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Ravi.
Have a great weekend. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.